I got some big dreams, bro. Got some big ass dreams, but the life I see, bro, the life I see is golden. I can envision it right now. I see it, and I'm not gonna stop till I get it. These dreams keep me up, man. These dreams are the reason why I'm so excited to wake up in the morning. Every single day I get a chance to go get it. Every day is a blessing. And I get one more chance at life every day, and it's not guaranteed. So I don't care, bro, like, I'm gonna go out chasing my dreams.
Stop making excuses. Simple as that. You can make a million excuses why you didn't work out this morning. You can make a million excuses why you didn't get that raise, why you didn't take that leap of faith. You can make a million excuses, but you know deep down inside, and consciousness is eating away at you, that it's an excuse.
What if I told you 2026 was the year you got the life you always dreamed of? But only on one condition. Starting January 1st, you have to show up every fucking day from here on out. Hearing these words probably puts a spark in your brain, gives you a little dopamine hit. But what good is a motivational video if you ain't gonna use these fucking words and put them into action? Increase your sacrifice or reduce your desire. Because not everybody cut out for this shit, bro. But don't prove that shit to them. Prove that to yourself. I pray this time you actually go through with it, bro. Because I know damn well you've been waiting quite some time, just like I have. Put some heart in this shit, dog, and I promise you, you're gonna get everything you've ever wanted.
If nobody has told you today, keep going. Not because it's easy, not because it feels good, but because quitting will cost you the version of yourself that you are still becoming. And I know you're tired. I know it feels like you've been strong for too long. I know some days you wake up already exhausted from yesterday, but listen to me closely. You did not come this far just to stop at the part where it finally starts to matter. Progress does not always look like wins. Sometimes it looks like getting up again. Sometimes it looks like showing up quietly while nobody's clapping yet, and that is the part that most people do not survive, the unseen part, the lonely part, the season where you are doing everything right and it still feels slow, but slow does not mean stuck. Silent does not mean forgotten. Delayed does not mean denied.
The power of the mind, realizing how powerful our minds actually are.
This is yours. See yourself as high as you possibly can see yourself.
Everything comes from the imagination.
The only way really was, in order to be happy, is to create my own world.
You know, I had to convince myself that I'm gonna make it.
If you can't visualize winning, then you will not win.
And if you begin to think of yourself as the master of your own destiny.
If I was 14, this is who I am. This is who I want to be. I'm Kentucky. This is the guy.
People say it's like 90% mental, 10% physical. I just think it's 100% mental.
If I can see it, then it must be a reality.
If you visualize before, you will be more prepared.
In order to paint a bright future for yourself, you have to be able to see it in your mind. You have to believe in it.
And whatever I see in my mind, I can make happen. So what I'm living in is my dream.
We live in a mental universe. All causation is mental. If you wish to change your universe, you have to change your mentality.
If you can see it here, and you have the courage enough to speak it, it will happen.
And he would say, this is the greatest toy ever created. Here lies the secret of all happiness.
So your brain doesn't really know the difference between, say that again?
Between something that happened in real life or something that you strongly visualize.
Clarify and define your vision for yourself in the highest possible way that you can see it. Be as specific and see yourself as high as you possibly can, right? That's your first job, is to see it as high as you can see it. Be delusional, to the point where to where your mind, right at the apex of what your mind believes is possible, maybe push past that even a little bit and define it.
And everything originates in the mind. You know, the idea is what inspires the opportunity for you to get up and pursue a business. The inspiration that you observe and you think about, when you observe an athlete win, and that inspires you to endeavor and work hard and become an athlete yourself. Everything originates in the mind.
So I want you to think about a goal or something that is just wildly
in your dreams, right? A place where your deepest desires can become a reality. So I want to talk to that part of your mind, that where you believe it's possible. And the power I'm talking about, obviously, is the power of visualization.
Person's successful if they know where they are and they know where they're going and they're progressively moving in that direction. He said that success was the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. Anyone that has a goal and they're moving towards it, they're successful.
You become what you think about. You become what you think about. And that the only thing that you can control is your thinking. If you change what you are thinking about, you will begin to change your reality. If you change what you expect, you change what you believe, you change your dominant thoughts, you change your inner workings, you begin to attract into your life people, circumstances, events, opportunities, and everything consistent with your new thoughts. The reason people are unsuccessful is they think thoughts of unsuccess or failure.
Oh, outsiders. It was isolation, it was visualization, it was motivation, and it was dedication. There was nothing else going on in my life.
Both of them together, when you have the vision and you're able to manifest, but then you also put the work in, magic happens, man. Magic, that's where the magic is. We're blessed that we can dream.
Important it is to look at yourself in a high regard and to believe in yourself. In order to paint a bright future for yourself, you have to be able to see it in your mind. You have to believe in it. And the more you believe in it, the more your world will start to change. Remember, every dream realized started in someone's imagination. It started in their mind. And with consistent practice and faith, visualization will become your bridge between where you are now and where you desire to be. See it, feel it, and then believe in it.
How is it going to feel when your dreams become a reality? Go there. You go there, whatever it is.
If you can get a mental image of the person you would most like to become, begin now to act as that person would act in everything you do. Gradually, imperceptibly, you will actually become that person. It goes back to what the great German poet and philosopher Goethe once said. Before you can do something, you must first be something. Before you can do what you would most like to do, you must first become the person who can do it.
And the average person, because we're programmed not to win, 99% of us are, we don't think anyone can. So when someone does, it's amazing. But it's just a program. As soon as you're born, I've said this before, you don't know about fear or what to be scared of until someone tells you what to be scared of. And a lot of what people tell you to be scared of is to actually be successful and dream and be independent and be on your own.
Most people don't focus on their mindset. Most people are focused on exterior factors. They think that everything that happens to them is by chance. And they don't realize that a lot of the things that happen to them are things that they attract. Because you attract the things that you are, and you are what you do, and you do what you think about. So it's all a cyclical loop. Most people don't understand the power of the mind. That's why they haven't tapped into the power of the mind. And the power of the mind is one very simple thing: the ability to direct your attention towards a specific given objective, and then to have the willpower to pursue it.
Discipline your thoughts. Stop thinking too much. Don't go into the past. Don't go into the future. Be in the present. Why? Because only then it's possible that the mind is free, the capacity is free, and now you can completely immerse into whatever you are doing. And this means you have arrived.
Ask yourself, can I be defined by a vision of the future instead of the memories of the past? What do I want in my life? And take the time to answer the question. As you begin to contemplate and think about the answer to the question, you're changing your brain. When you make your brain fire in new sequences and new patterns and new combinations, that's the beginning steps of changing your mind.
Believe it. You know what I mean? Like see it all the time and believe it. See yourself as high as you possibly can. Define that. Work towards it. And the world will fill in the rest.
In that moment,
If you can convince yourself that feeling is so insanely good, then you would be willing to pay the price that the man needed for your big dreams to become a reality. But if you can't sell yourself on that feeling worth experiencing, you're gonna be in this camp. But if you can, you're gonna be in this camp. By the way, this camp is not that busy. This camp is busy with a lot of different people who did not want to answer that question, and they don't want to meet those demands. So for you, how's it gonna feel?
For me, the vision became a reality, so it was only then a matter of following through with the work, but it was pleasure.
Yeah.
See, that is the great thing. When you go to work and you know exactly why you're working, then it becomes fun.
The best piece of advice that I ever received is that you are what you think about. Everything that you think about, you become. You become what you think about. Thoughts lead to actions. Actions lead to behaviors. Behaviors leads to lifestyle. Lifestyle determines your destiny. So everything begins in the mind. If you can control and wield your mind, you can very much determine your destiny.
Nobody else at the moment has the power to change you unless you have that initial spark and say, I must do something. I don't want this anymore. In order for something new to come, something old must go. And that old can sometimes mean let go of what you know until now. Empty the cup.
Not a lot of people know what it feels like, do they? To be angry in your bones.
Those who want to lead the orchestra must be willing to turn their back on the crowd.
I think if you want to be the best at anything, you have to make it your life.
Two types of champions for me. Like there are champions who prepare themselves to win, and there are the other ones who prepare themselves to dominate.
Act now before tomorrow becomes a memory of what could have been.
Genius adores isolation.
So when you go home at night and you're by yourself and the noise is gone and the cheers are over and the fun and whatever hell you did that day is over, you go home alone. So if you can't fix what's inside your soul, what's inside your heart, and what's inside your mind, you will forever be doomed to live that life of a person who doesn't want to be the great person that they were made to be.
You're stronger than me, you're faster than me. You can lift more weights than me though. What makes me a champion, you not? Something gotta be it. I believe it's that passport, it's crazy land, it's that mental, it's that thing like I'm willing to do something, it's a mentality thing.
If you want to maximize everything that you have with your career and your ability, then squeeze the fuck out of that Linden.
Before you get in that race to chase greatness, and this is extremely important, you have to deal with what's chasing you.
Look out there. Out there is the perfect lap. No mistakes. Every gear change, every corner. Perfect. You see it?
I think so.
Most people can't. Most people don't even know it's out there, but it is. It's there.
It's not that simple.
Why not?
No, that's the biggest lie I was ever told. It's not that simple. And it's a lie they tell you over and over again.
What's not simple?
Any of it. All of it. It's how they get you to give up. They say it's not that simple, Vinny.
So what's the truth?
That it is. That if you just do the thing that they tell you you can't, then it's done.
And so
while I got humbled, I also gained this thing called confidence and belief. And once you gain that, and you know where it comes from, a real place, not like my mom said, oh, I believe in you. No, my belief came from the unseen work. It came from every workout by myself, not having a best friend or a trainer or someone wake me up. No, it was fighting average alone. And when you fight average alone, what comes out is a fucking savage, a dog, a beast, a monster.
How can you beat someone who cannot fucking quit? How can you beat someone who every time they go through a hard time, they get better and they get stronger instead of getting weaker and getting demoralized? How can you beat someone who looks back on all the tests that they've had and said, yeah, that wasn't dude, bring it the fuck on.
A real man in the dark, when nobody's watching, he putting in work. A real man, when coach ain't even watching, he's studying film on his own, because he loves the process. If you will be a champion, if you will be a beast, you're gonna have to go through something. Ain't nobody gonna hand you nothing, ain't nobody gonna hand you no championship, ain't nobody gonna hand you no title.
If you don't commit to it, it's not gonna come into fruition. It's not just gonna happen overnight. It's not just gonna fall in your fucking lap. You gotta commit.
You just do the work and you get there. The human mind, the human body, the human psyche is so pliable. You can literally become anyone and anything. Multiply that over time and experience, and don't quit even when it sucks.
You want to reach your goal? How to reach the goal the quickest? Be focused with your energy. Meaning, be focused with the mind. Don't lose the goal from the mind. Whatever you do, from the moment of waking up until the evening, whatever you do, keep the goal in the mind. This is the quickest way of making this goal become real. Number 2. Simply said, you don't like discomfort. You don't like challenges. You don't like hardship. So I described it like you were like walking along the path and then suddenly it starts to rain, but we don't like rain. So instead of you just continue follow the path, you are starting to make your mind busy about what you don't like. Yeah? And already that means the mind starts to shift again, losing the focus of the goal.
It's a weird thing to want a permission slip for mediocrity, which is fundamentally what excuses are. You just want permission from everyone else to still get respect without the outcome because of your extenuating circumstances. And the thing is there's a ton of allure, but the only person who actually believes that is you. People might nod along, the people who love you might say, yeah, you know what, you are a special snowflake, your mama might still love you, but like, you're not gonna earn anyone's respect. And I think you certainly won't earn the respect of the person that matters most, which is you. Because you'll always know that you could have done more, that you could have done better. That's the one that keeps me up. I have a saying that I tell myself a lot when I'm doing something that I don't want to do. And it's, I will do what is required. It's not about doing your best. It's about doing what's required, because what's required might be better than your best is right now. The good news is that your best can get better.
At the end of the day, it's not the trophies or the titles you're going to answer to. It's you. Did you become someone you're proud to be? That's the real scoreboard. That's the one that matters. Because if you can't respect a person in the mirror, nothing else you build will ever feel like enough. Earn your own respect first. Everything else will fall into place.
Almost have to be insane a little bit to have such blind faith in something that you can't see.
Motivation is great. Like all of us, like some of us right now, they have it. But what makes a winner is you realize that motivation is a temporary motherfucker.
Be motivated by the fear of being average. Average is the quiet killer. When you hit snooze, when you skip a workout, when you make excuses, before you know it, you're living a life of average. Never even trying to reach your potential. Physically soft, mentally weak, spiritually empty. You must not fear the discomfort. You must not fear the failure, but you must fear the average. You know what's terrifying? Waking up one day and realizing life has passed you by. Show up even when you don't feel like it. Do the work regardless of your circumstances. Never settle for good enough. Average is the enemy.
What would you do if there were no limitations? Because there are none. All right, you have to be willing to start at square one. You have to be willing to start something new. But if you're willing to do that, there are no limitations. If you're willing to decide I want to do this, and you're willing to go down the path and not quit, and you have the basic intelligence to not make the same mistake over and over and over again, there's really no limits to what you can do.
Talk is cheap, action is expensive, right? And when I hear it, like, action is always gonna cost us something, right? You could say it all day, but action has to follow it up. Like, what you willing to sacrifice? What you willing to give up, right? Because that's the action. Right. Everybody wants something, everybody aspires to get something. That's the easy part.
The doubt of 1,000 people on me is less dangerous than if I had self-doubt. The most important conversation you could ever have is that conversation that takes place between your ears, right, with yourself.
There's something dangerous about a person who becomes addicted to growth. Not dangerous in the sense of harm, but dangerous in the sense of power. The kind of power that comes when you stop settling, stop making excuses, and start living with an unrelenting hunger for becoming better than you were yesterday. Because here's the truth. The moment you become addicted to growth, you become unstoppable. You start seeing obstacles as opportunities, failures as lessons, and challenges as fuel. You don't just survive life, you dominate it. But addiction to growth doesn't come naturally. It's not something you stumble into. It's a choice, a mindset, a decision to stop living on autopilot and start chasing your potential with everything you've got. And when you make that decision, when growth becomes your obsession, that's when you become dangerous. Being addicted to growth means that you're not satisfied with staying the same. It means you're willing to challenge yourself, to step out of your comfort zone. To push past your limits, because you know there's more out there for you. It's not about perfection. It's not about achieving some final ideal version of yourself. It's about the process, the grind, the journey, the relentless pursuit of progress. When you're addicted to growth, you stop waiting for life to hand you opportunities. You create them. You stop hoping things will get better. You make them better. You stop letting fear, doubt, and insecurity control you. You face them head on, knowing that the only way out is through.
Motivation might get you started, but discipline keeps you going. And discipline, when repeated long enough, turns into obsession. When you show up every day, when you work on your craft, when you invest in yourself, when you keep grinding even when no one's watching, you start to crave it. You start to need it. It becomes a part of who you are. Discipline isn't about forcing yourself to grow. It's about creating a system that makes growth inevitable. Here's what makes someone addicted to growth dangerous. They don't see obstacles as setbacks. They see them as opportunities. When the rest of the world is complaining about how hard things are, the person who's obsessed with growth is asking, what can I learn from this? How can I turn this into fuel? That's why they're dangerous. because no matter what life throws at them, they find a way to turn it into power. The moment you think you've made it, the moment you think you've grown enough, is the moment you stop growing. Being addicted to growth means staying hungry. It means never settling, never becoming complacent, never thinking, this is good enough. But it also means staying humble. It means recognizing that no matter how far you've come, there's always more to learn, more to do, more to become.
When you're addicted to growth, you become someone who can't be stopped. You can't be stopped by failure, because you know it's part of the process. You can't be stopped by fear, because you've learned to face it head on. You can't be stopped by setbacks, because you've turned resilience into a habit. You become someone who adapts, who overcomes, who thrives in any situation. And that's dangerous. Not in a destructive way, but in a powerful way. Because the world doesn't know what to do with someone who refuses to stop growing. Here's the beautiful thing about growth. It doesn't just make you stronger, it sets you free. When you're addicted to growth, you stop fearing failure, because you know it's just a stepping stone. You stop fearing the unknown because you trust yourself to adapt. You stop fearing judgment because you're too busy becoming the person you're meant to be. Growth isn't just about success. It's about freedom. Freedom to live fully, to take risks, to create a life that's bigger than you ever imagined. If you want to become dangerous, unstoppable, unshakable, untouchable, make growth your obsession. Show up every day. Embrace the discomfort. Turn your setbacks into strength. And never, ever stop. Because the person who's addicted to growth isn't just chasing success. They're chasing their potential. They're chasing the best version of themselves. And that makes you someone the world can't ignore. Grow relentlessly, unapologetically, dangerously.
The journey is the reward, not the destination. The journey is the reward, not the destination. Focus every single day on being aligned and as intentional as you can with your actions, with your perspective, with your attitude, with what you say, with what you put in your body, with how you move, all that stuff. And if you really, really just focus one day at a time at doing that to the best of your ability, right? Not trying to get everything perfect, but really doing that to the best of your ability for that day, all the outcomes and results you want to see in your life will take care of themselves. I guarantee it. And there's going to come a point in time later in your journey where you look back and it's not going to be the results or the outcomes that really was the prize. It's going to be the journey. It's going to be the journey and the experiences and the different seasons you had to navigate, right? The journey is the reward, not the destination. Focus on the day-to-day intentional, aligned habits, values, perspectives, mindsets, and let go of your emotional attachment to the outcomes. Trust.
If you don't know what to pursue in life right now, pursue yourself. It's so easy to get lost and to lose yourself into obsessing over what you want to do, because there is no perfect choice and there never will be. So first, just think about who you want to be, because when you work on building your personal happiness first, every other goal in your life will change and fall in tandem with that personal happiness and fulfillment. I say things like building your happiness, building who you want, and not finding, because it's a state of creation from scratch, and it's going to take a ridiculous amount of work. It's not something that's just lost and found because you manifested it by staying positive. It's endless hours of growing your self-respect, self-trust in yourself through what you do each day and not just what you tell yourself you will. Self-reflection isn't going to change your life on its own. Productivity strategies aren't going to change your life on their own. Working out isn't going to change your life on its own. But when you're in constant motion of creating yourself, you're laying the bricks for a foundation of an individual who's going to be ready for any opportunity that they're waiting for, even if you don't even know what that is yet. Because the truth is, you're never going to have your life figured out to the T. But it's also not a call to be lazy just because there are no guarantees. It's a call to grow your responsibility as a one-in-one individual to control as much as you can by ruling yourself first before all else. That you can do. That you can absolutely guarantee. And that's what's going to dictate all of the other accessories in your life to come.
No, you don't need to dream bigger. You don't need a vision board, and you don't need to meditate about your goals every morning. What you need is to master the anti. Understand that everybody receives the same advice. Oh, just dream big, bro. Shoot for the stars, man. But if that stuff works, you would see successful people everywhere you looked. The difference between those who make it and those who don't is that the winners understand where they don't want to be. That's why you need an anti-vision. Ask yourself questions such as these. Who don't I want to be? What life would I hate to live? What work would I not want to do? And once you have these answers, you're going to have the motivation needed in order to actually make progress towards your goals. When you combine the vision with its opposite, you become a force so unstoppable that success has no choice but to find you.
The moment you believe you've arrived is the moment your journey ends. Every success you achieve is not the finish line, it's a stepping stone. Every lesson you learn is the foundation for what's next. The greatest achievers aren't those who know it all, but those who stay curious, stay humble, and keep asking, what more can I do? Because the real flex is showing up again and again, ready to learn, adapt, and push beyond what you thought was possible. There is no secret. Stay hungry and just keep building.
I heard you say there's only one thing I dread, not to be worthy of my sufferings. What's that?
It's how you handle your sufferings. You know, when you're going through something really challenging, how do you show up within it? Do you choose to become a victim of complaining and misery and shitty, or do you find meaning in how you show up in the suffering?
So I know why you go on Instagram. I know why because you just have the time. You have the time because you don't want to put that time into bettering oneself. So I know why I'm misunderstood. I'm misunderstood by people who have plenty of time on their hands to misunderstand me because they are exactly where I once was. There's the harsh reality of people who troll you, who go after you. They have nothing better to do with your life. It's the truth, but once was that way. I know where it all comes from. I'm frustrated by the fact that you don't have the courage to try to be somebody better than what you're not. And that's the frustrating part.
It just comes down to recognizing opportunities that come with sacrificing just a little bit of the short run for the longer term investment. And honestly, I don't even see it as sacrifice because it's exciting to recognize your capability when you really commit to something. It feels good to have newfound responsibility, to be on a path towards something that you might not be able to conceptualize right now, but you know will be life-changing. And beautiful to find and realize you have that much faith in yourself. And as corny as it sounds, believe in yourself to do the hard things today, and then you'll have the rest of your life to live a new one.
Our brain cannot process failure. It will not process failure. Because if I sit there and have to face myself and tell myself, you're a failure, I think that's almost worse than death.
It's important to remember that you have a perfect track record for making it through your toughest days. If you were incapable of dealing with life's challenges, you wouldn't be here right now. Now, that doesn't mean that tougher challenges aren't going to present themselves again in the future, but you can't control what will happen then. You can only trust your ability to deal with whatever life throws at you.
So you want to be normal. So you just want to be like everybody else that roams the world, not knowing the power that's in them, being fine with being mediocre.
Your dreams are the most powerful thing. Without a dream, there's, again, no point being here. And we are lost without dreams. So find the time on a daily basis to dream and pursue your dream, whatever that looks like. Be on the pursuit of your dreams.
I really believe that you have to seek the love and the beauty that you want in what you have now. Because that way you're training yourself to extract meaning right now, which means in the short term, if you can fill that role with meaning and your true passion and what's coming from you, then that's going to lead you to discovering the power of it.
Because life is essentially tragic in its fundamental essence, you need a sustaining meaning that's deep and profound, and deep and profound enough to get you through bad times, because there will be very bad times in your life. There'll be death, and there'll be illness, and there'll be disappointment of all sorts. And there'll be just the standard difficulties of life in the world to contend with. And you really must have something that's profound and powerful to set up against that. And I think that your voluntary adoption of the struggle to improve being is the proper antidote to that.
Have to understand the fundamental truth of this life. You can always make a different decision, which will lead to a different outcome.
Success is not how much money or how much power you have. Success is how well do you do what you do when no one else is looking and keep on doing it. Successful people do all the things that successful people don't want to do.
So you've got to be realistically humble. You've got to be ambitious enough in your goals so that you're pursuing something that you regard as truly meaningful and worthwhile. So you want your goals to be of sufficient nobility so that you can live with yourself properly if you're pursuing them, but you want them to be small enough so that you have a reasonable probability of implementing them.
Life outside of that one area, most of us are worried about suffering. We're afraid of it. When we're suffering and sacrificing, we wonder whether it's worth it. We wonder whether we're supposed to. We wonder whether sacrifice or setbacks or suffering is a sign it's not our real dream, don't we? And your body is a metaphor for the rest of your life, but the rest of our life, every time we sweat, every time we sacrifice, every time we suffer, we don't do what we do at the gym. We start saying, well, wait a minute, maybe I'm not supposed to be doing this. Maybe I'm not cut out. Maybe it's not my destiny. Maybe I just can't do it.
You've got to remember that any challenge we're facing today, we've faced it before as humanity. Changing the stories we tell ourselves, we can either look at challenging situations as opportunities for growth, as an opportunity to learn, as an opportunity to change, be the change, or we can look at them and really feel down. Now, that second part is okay. We can even feel like that, right? But we have to recognize it's not permanent. We've got to accept that none of our feelings are permanent. They don't need to be permanent, it's choice. But recognize that those feelings are not permanent, and it will be amazing when we realize we are seized, right? That is the most powerful way of finding strength.
You get hungry by finding something that's you. I believe that all of us are born unique, but most of us die cockies. And so the key to that hunger-driven life is a heart-centered life. I didn't do what I'm doing for years because of my programming, because of the culture in which I was raised by. But you have to work on yourself. We have to have an unstoppable attitude, and no excuse is acceptable. And you got to to make it a priority, a non-negotiable in your life, and hold a constant vision of what it is you want to achieve. See it accomplished and go all out. Find a way to win.
They're always up and down. It's like your energy levels will go up and down and you'll be exhausted. Everything is tied around a story of this is bad, this is wrong, I'm in a bad place, I'm messing up, I'm going broke. That energy that will pull you away from service or creation or creativity of how do I get out of this place.
Assuming that you have a certain intrinsic value, it's necessary for that value to manifest itself, for you to push yourself against the world, to challenge yourself. Otherwise, what you're capable of won't manifest itself. It has to be developed. It has to be called forth by necessity, right? You have to pick a hard problem and try to solve it and push yourself against it in order for, and you have to try to do that truthfully and responsibly in order for what it is that you're intrinsically capable of and composed of to come to the forefront. Encourage people to be responsible for themselves and for other people, and also to point out that you have a moral responsibility to do so for yourself just as you do for others.
There's a gap between the world and the things that trigger you and your response. And your entire life is that gap. And when you start to understand that your whole life plays out in this 5-second gap, and that there's a gap that's 5 seconds long between fear and courage, and there's a gap that's 5 seconds long between self-doubt and confidence, that is your life. And what's super cool about understanding that your whole life is inside this gap is it's so small, everybody, that you have the ability to control it. Life's always gonna throw triggers at you, and there will always be all kinds of cool things that inspire you, your wisdom. And you get to choose what happens in that gap. Do you succumb to an excuse, or do you push yourself forward? And so that gap is everywhere, and it's the same everywhere. And when you start to go to work in controlling how you live in that gap between stimulus or idea and your response, that's where the magic is.
Most of you guys focus on all of the things that you can see. A visionary specializes. Only those who can see the invisible can do the impossible. Sometimes, when you have a vision for your life, other people will not have that same vision, so they will pass on you. I'm looking to unleash these visions and ideas on the world, because the world is an empty canvas waiting on new thoughts to think.
A lot of us are going through a hard time in life. Some people have been bullied, some people are just stressed out, some people are insecure, some people are fat and overweight, and the world puts a lot of this in your mind. I had to develop a mindset that was indestructible. I had to armor plate my mind. And it's about what you're saying to yourself, but it also comes with work. So whenever I was getting beat down, physically, mentally, spiritually, whatever I was going through, just saying, I would put, you can't hurt me. Can't hurt me just became a message. I would say to myself.
I'm training people to get into their greatness, to begin to develop the courage to pursue dreams beyond their comfort zones. Because in order to do something you've never done, you've got to become someone you've never been. When you're pursuing your greatness, you don't know what your limits are, so you act like you don't have any. And one of the reasons that Booker T. Washington said, judge a person not by what they accomplished, but what they had to overcome for their accomplishment.
You know what I think one of the best ways to crack ourselves open from a curse of self-obsession? I find that moments of radical and sudden empathy, radical and sudden compassion, immediately dissipate all those gnawing thoughts of self-doubt and self-loathing and self-pity and just desire. They're obliterated by this immediate communion with another being.
I believe that most human beings are only living at about 40% of their capability. There's something about the mind. The mind has the tactical advantage over you at all times. At all times of your life, the mind has a tactical advantage over you. Why is that? It knows what you're afraid of. It knows your insecurities. It knows your deep, dark lies. And it starts to push you away from that shit. It pushes you in a direction that is comfortable. And life's all about feelings. You want the happy feeling. We don't want that feeling of this sucks. Why am I killed? And you don't have any, so you can't answer those questions, so you leave. I started realizing that if in that moment, you can answer those questions, and you are now in charge of your brain versus your brain ruling you.
I tell people, you're gonna face tough times. You know, my favorite book says, think it not strange if you're faced to fiery furnaces with this who. But I affirm, no matter how bad it is or how bad it gets, I'm going to make it. Not willing to risk, you can't grow. And if you can't grow, you can't become your best. And if you can't become your best, you can't be happy.
Beliefs dictate your thoughts, dictate your emotions, dictate your actions, which produce your results. And your results, when you look at them, then just reinforce the original belief. And so we're caught in that construct, right? But the linchpin is the belief system. So the question is, how do I actually change what I believe? If my beliefs really do dictate my destiny, right? Which is, I'm not the only person suggesting. The question becomes, how do I change my beliefs? And in that is an inherent challenge, because by definition, beliefs are that which are true.
That collect ideas, not beliefs.
If you collect ideas, right, it means that you're like, oh, that's interesting, and then that's interesting, and then this is interesting, and then that's also interesting. And some of these contradict each other, but it's okay, because I don't have to believe any of them. I can just entertain their feasibility and find them interesting, so I can collect all these different ideas. The problem with beliefs is that when you collect one belief, well, you knock offline any belief that contradicts that particular belief. And so if you get too stuck with your beliefs, you narrow your world view.
You know that at 40%, I'm feeling pain. At 40%, I'm feeling pain. That's where the 40% rule kicks in. Now it starts. Okay, I'm feeling pain. My mind's saying all this to me. It's saying, get out of here, run, flee. The fight or flight kicks in. Okay, we're done. We're not good enough. It starts telling you all these things. You start to believe it because the mind controls all. This is the time when you have to gain control back in. It's okay. Let me see if I can go 45%. And once you start giving yourself more and more hope and start realizing, okay, the mind starts to be, okay, what are you doing? We're supposed to be going right and you're going left. You start then controlling your mind.
Relax, breathe, be still, find your center. This world is chaotic, I know, and I'm sure there's a lot going on that you wish you could change. It's all noisy and your head may be a mess, but it is important that you do not forget your true state, who you really are. This is not you. You know that this is not you. This is a result of external forces clouding your mind and soul. And when that happens, it is easy to get lost and disoriented, and that is exhausting. I know it. However, if you take the time to just be still, to breathe and silence the noise, you will again find your center, as well as the peace and clarity that you have been missing for so long.
Best thing you can do for the rest of your life is to work on your eternal life. That's the alternate orbit that the real Titans play in. And so what I'm suggesting is the best way to spend the rest of your life is developing who you are.
Know what your problem is? Your problem is that you don't need to change. You don't need to fix your problems. You don't view the things that are destroying you as something that has to stop. Sure, you have this idea of who you want to be. You have this vision of what you want your life to look like. You like the idea of being this transformed version of yourself, but you don't have to become that. In reality, if you stay the same, life really isn't that bad. You say things like, what's another day? What's another week? Are those the words of somebody who is desperate for change? No, those are the words of somebody who has a vision, but no real intention of materializing it. The reality is, no matter how bad you say you want it, until the pain of staying where you're at is greater than the pain of changing your behavior, that vision you have for your life is always going to remain a vision.
It's nothing more practical than developing a vision. Without a vision, you're chaotic and fragmented and hopeless and disappointed, and someone can stop you just by putting up a single obstacle. You have no forward movement. Your life is a sequence of disappointments and frustrations and tragedies, and you're a leaf blowing in the wind. And that is not what you're called to be.
When you get what you want in your struggle for self and the world makes you king for a day, just go to the mirror and look at yourself and see what that man has to say. For it isn't your father or mother or wife whose judgment upon you must pass. The fellow whose verdict counts most in your life is the one staring back from the glass. He's the fellow to please, never mind all the rest. For he's with you clear to the end, and you've passed your most difficult, dangerous test if the man in the glass is your friend. You may fool the whole world down the pathway of years and get pats on the back as you pass, but your final reward will be heartache and tears if you've cheated the man in the glass.
Here's an exercise for you. Take a piece of paper, write at the top, dream list, and then make a list of all your dreams. But what about this and what about that? No, decide what's right before you decide what's possible. Don't decide, well, we can't afford this and we couldn't do that. Like, stop. That's helplessness, that's habit. That's these old negative habit patterns holding you back. Before you even decide what you want, most people are figuring out why they can't have it. What you do is you say, wait a minute, if I had no limitations, and this is the key, you dream as though you had no limitations. Nothing's holding you back. And ask yourself this question. What one great thing would I dare to dream if I knew I could not fail? What one great thing would you dare to dream if you knew you could not fail? Imagine you were absolutely guaranteed of success in any one thing, big or small, long-term or short-term, in the whole world. What would it be? And write it down. This is the starting point of great achievement, because what will happen is that if you can clearly define that target, you can hit it. You eventually always hit the targets that you set for yourself, but you can't hit a target that you can't see.
Has become like a magnet. They pull you that direction, and the better you describe them, the more they pull. Believe you can get what you want like a child, not an adult. Adults are too skeptical. So the formula really reads, make plans like an adult and believe in them like a child.
You know, we hit about 3 or 4 or 5 crossroads in our life, and these are major crossroads. You know, you're 20, then you're 30, then you're 40, and you go, oh, did I make a mistake? You're 30, that's going to affect 40. And so the point is, it's all about the comeback. I'm all about that. Like, okay, stop this progress, reverse it before you keep going with it. So I love stories about redemption, like the comeback. Because guys, it's all about the comeback. If I see a fighter, for example, and he's undefeated, oh, he's 44-0 with 44 knockouts, I go, boring. I mean, great athlete, but boring in the sense that I want to see the guy who's lost 10 times come back. Because that's what life is.
Every day, the same answer came back to me. Do you want to be on your deathbed knowing that you could, but you didn't? So why do you care about what people are thinking when they're not trying to go where you're trying to go?
I had to stop giving a about people. That was the biggest thing. It was you.
So you better figure out who the you are on this journey. And those few people many people don't like you, so be it. But you first have to figure out you, because a lot of people die with a lot of untapped potential because they're trying to be somebody that they're not. So I was able to figure out my own potential by figuring out me. But until you know what you want to stand for, you will always just be sitting down. You'll never stand for anything.
Unchosen suffering is going to happen, right? So the only thing that you can do is have some chosen suffering to prepare for it.